Snapchat, I messaged some of you and asked if y'all wanted to hear my adoption situation, the hardest story I'll ever tell, what happens in the classroom, or pet peeves. And okay, it was very kind of an inconclusive thing. Like, one of y'all voted for pet peeves, another one of you couldn't decide, and then another one of you said hardest story, and another one of you said either the first or the second one. So, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I will just work my way backwards instead of 1 to 4, like those 4 topics. I'm just gonna go 4 to 1 because the hardest story I'll ever tell, the title gives it away. Like, it is gonna be the hardest story I tell. And I don't know if I'm in the right place in my emotional healing process to tell the story, because I tried to tell it a couple weeks ago, but I didn't post it because it was too long and I wasn't having it. It wasn't good. So for the sake of being able to post a video and, it being okay and things like that, this week is me pet peeves, and I hope y'all enjoy it. And I will get there to the hardest story I'll ever tell. Maybe I'll get there in a couple weeks, but tonight I don't think I can because I need to condense it, and I don't know how. So we're gonna get into the pet peeves. The first pet peeve I want to talk about happens all the time. I'm like so done. Okay, so it's when somebody comes into your room, or you're sitting in the backyard and someone comes out to the backyard with you, or anywhere. You're just anywhere where there's a door, and they go to leave or something, they leave or they come outside and they don't shut the door all the way. It drives me nuts. My sister will sometimes come into my room, leave, the door be either this much open or that much open, and I'm like, can you please shut my door? And so you sit there, and when it's that much open, you kind of hope, you just pray the AC finishes the job, and the AC shuts the door. But then when it doesn't, you have to get up and you're like, man, I was comfortable in the bed, and now because you didn't shut my door all the way when you left and the AC won't do it, I have to get up, get uncomfortable, shut my door, and then get back into that same comfortable position. And we all know that you cannot get back into that same comfortable position unless you're real quick about it. Because I've had those few rare times where if I was real quick about it, I could get right back into it and fall asleep pretty soon. But I mean, if you enter a room and there's nobody behind you coming, close the door. The second pet peeve I want to talk about. Okay, so when something happens, you get into a fight with your friend, your parents, your siblings, or you break an ankle, you get bad doctor's report, just something bad happens in your life, and so you're in school, or you're in you're with some friends or whatever, and you're crying, or you're on the phone with somebody and you're crying about it because it's awful. What happened to you or your family or whatever is awful, and you just need to talk to somebody about it. My pet peeve is when you sit there and you're talking and consoling to this person, and you're just it's so awful and I don't know what to do about it, and you're crying and it hurts, it's a bad thing, and the person responds with, could always be worse. Let me tell you something, person who says it could always be worse. Yes, thank you very much for making it very aware to me that my life could be so much worse. But right now, this is my worst. Right now, in this particular moment, this is my worst. Sure, worse things have happened, but my life was going great, and then this worst comes in. So don't you dare sit there and tell me that things could be worse. I know they could, but right now, this is my worst. So just sit there and tell me everything's gonna be okay. And I mean, it's different for every person, that's how I am. If I go to you for something, if I'm upset about it, don't sit there and tell me things could be so much worse. I realize that. I realize there are people living in boxes and under bridges and all this stuff. I get that. I totally get that, and I feel for them. I really do. But if my parents are fighting, or they're not fighting, by the way, but like if something's going on in my life, then it's my worst right now because it's not a good thing. It's bad. And if it happens to you, you're gonna feel the same way. Like, everybody handles things differently. I get that. But don't sit there and tell me that things could be worse. I know they could. I know they could. But this is my worst. Don't sit there and devalue how bad this problem or predicament is. Like, don't sit there and do that to me. But yeah, I can't do that. Like, when somebody tells me that it could be way worse, I'm like, okay, you need to leave my life now because then I can't go to them for anything anymore. Like, because when I go to you for something, I want you to sit there and just listen and then tell me things will be okay. I don't want you to sit there and tell me how selfish. Don't sit there and make me feel selfish for having feelings. Man, that could have been a video on itself, couldn't it? I'll probably make a part 2 to that one day, but like, that one really bugs me. That should have been at the top of the list right there. And the last pet peeve I'm gonna talk about, like, it's over with now because it's kind of like back in the day, but this was a big pet peeve of mine, and if the show ever comes on, it really just irks me to my core. For those of you who are old like me, I'm just kidding, we're not old, but this makes me feel old. Secret Life of the American Teenager. And if you don't know what that is, it's a show that came on ABC Family like years ago. It had like 5 seasons, and it was about a girl who got pregnant at 14, 15, and like had her baby and like everything in high school. When they would go to commercial, they would have the main girl sit there and say, like, you know, basically like, have your parents talk to, if your kids have a question about sex or whatever, like, talk to them or whatever. And then at the end, she would say, teen pregnancy is 100% preventable. Before y'all all go like hating me for this, I realized what she meant, okay? I realized what she meant. That like if you don't do it, then nobody gets pregnant, and you know, if you're safe, you know, usually nobody gets pregnant. Even if you are safe, it happens. But this is my issue with that phrase, that teen pregnancy is 100% preventable. This is my issue with this. Teen pregnancy is not 100% preventable, and let me tell you why. Because the teenager that is walking home from school, or got off the bus and is just a block away from her house, or the teenager who's just having some fun with her friends and like nothing's going on, that guy who wants it and decides he's gonna get it whether she likes it or not, and then she gets pregnant from that, don't you dare sit there and tell me that teen pregnancy is 100% preventable. You can say like teen pregnancy is like 99% preventable or whatever, but you have those psychos on the street or even or in your classroom or in your family, because I know it happens with family too, but that's how it's not 100% preventable. I'm sorry, you can be the like nicest person in the world, and you can like be celibate till marriage and all this stuff until that one guy or one girl, but we're talking about pregnancy here, until that one guy comes up and just takes it from you, and like there's nothing you can do, and then you go to school pregnant and everybody just thinks you did it. And I'm very passionate about this. Like, cause, like, how do you, like, I know some people who go through that and then they get pregnant, they abort the baby. That's a whole different video for me. But that was a big pet peeve of mine when I was younger and watching that show, because, it's not, like, I've never been pregnant. I wasn't one of the people who like went through that, got pregnant and aborted my baby or anything like that. I've never been through that per se. that's another video. But my thing is, don't sit there and lie to everybody. Yes, I'm sure it was more targeted towards couples, and like, okay, couples, like if you're together, you know, and you're thinking about doing it, you either need to be really, really careful or just don't do it, because it's preventable. And in that aspect, yes, it is 100% preventable. But just in life in general, no, it's not. It is not. And like, anybody who tells me different, I will slap you in the face. And I don't hit people. So don't you dare sit there and tell me that teen pregnancy is 100% preventable, because it's not. And because people like that are everywhere. And like, we just don't see them, because usually it's people we trust. It's very rare that it's actually a stranger. But I'm getting off topic here, but this is like the most passionate one. Those are all the pet peeves I'm gonna talk about today, because this video got long very quickly. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Next week will be one of the other stories I have for y'all, because I have 3 story times or whatever, because the adoption and hardest story and what happened in the classroom are all story time videos. So look forward to those, and look forward to the covers I do on Wednesdays, because I mean, some of you like them, some like them, but yeah, I don't know what I was about to say, but y'all know me, this is my thing. I ramble until I'm finally like, okay, that's it. I love you guys so much, and I'll see y'all Wednesday or Friday with another new video. Bye.